What this presentation is going to do is going to give you an overview of the kind of courses which are available in the UK, what role the portfolio takes within applying to a course, what kind of qualifications are needed for entry, what courses are available, and what kind of careers are available after you've studied art and design in the UK. During the presentation you will see images of work. All the work you see within this presentation is student work, and wherever there is individual comment on the work, I'll tell you about it and what course the work's from. So this particular piece of work is from a fine art course, and it's an undergraduate student. So what can you study? Art and design in the UK is very diverse, but at the same time it's very specialised. Within each course area we have in the UK everything from film, fine art, fashion. All of these courses are generally, if it's undergraduate, 3-year full-time courses, and you study that subject area every single day whilst you're on the course. Lots of different education systems have majors and minors where you're able to choose small modules and small classes from each area. So, for instance, the American system would allow you to study perhaps film as a major, but do some classes in graphic design, for instance. In the UK, that's not necessarily so. And because these courses are very specific, we have to make sure that you want to go on to the right one. And just to give you an idea of how specific, if we take an area like fashion, in the UK we've actually, within our university, we've got fashion already split down into these areas. So atelier, design, forecasting, journalism, management, marketing and promotion. So in order to make sure you go on to the right one, you have to research really well as to what is in the curriculum of the course you decide to study. So this is an interesting image. This is actually from a photography student. Not too sure what the student was trying to say by this image, but just goes to show you that it's not perhaps traditional photography that we teach. So do you need a portfolio? The quick answer to this is yes, absolutely. If you want to study art and design in the UK, you have to have a portfolio. There are some exceptions to this, particularly in the area of management and marketing. Journalism doesn't necessarily need a portfolio unless you're going into a particular area like fashion journalism. Within journalism, you obviously have to show your ability for writing. Architecture in the UK, there's generally very split ideas. There can be very creative courses which would need a portfolio, and the less ones perhaps wouldn't need one, but you would need things like very strong mathematics. And of course theory-based courses. There are lots of theory art courses in the UK. Art history, some media courses, film courses can be theoretical based courses. These don't need a portfolio. But again, it's very important for you to look into the curriculum of the course you wish to study. If you are looking for a practical course, make sure that the course you're looking for or looking at is practical. So your portfolio. So why is it so vital to us? Your portfolio is like your visual CV. It shows us the level of skill, the level of skills that you have, and the kind of work you've been doing. So portfolios don't necessarily have to be beautifully finished items. They don't have to be beautifully bound. We see portfolios in a variety of ways. They can be canvas for fine art. It can be garments for fashion. Photographies, obviously imagery, but we receive this in lots of different ways. It can be, generally students don't send to the UK their final pieces of work. They take photographs of it, they'll burn it to a disk, and they'll send it in with their application form. The portfolio for things like animation, film, if you're talking about master's level, we would expect you to already have made films, made animations, so we expect to see that in your portfolio. So at the same time as the finished pieces of work, we like to see your sketchbook. Your sketchbook shows us where the ideas have come from and how you've developed your ideas. As a university, we like to see how you've come up with the concept, and then how you've developed that idea to come up with the final piece. A sketchbook is like a visual diary, so it shows us how you're thinking, and it's very important for us to see that. So when you talk to us about your work, make sure you know about your work and what you were trying to say when you came up with that piece. The last thing you want to do is just show a piece of work but not have anything to say about it. So what we expect to see in sketchbooks are things like research, and your identity comes out in a sketchbook. It's the way you think, your note-taking. Sketchbooks are never beautiful and tidy things. They're very messy normally. There's lots of sort of like torn out from magazines, ideas, perhaps museums that you visited, your sketched ideas. They all go in your sketchbook, and that's what we like to see. And so when you have your interview with a university, we like to see a combination of your sketchbook and your portfolio. So we'll ask you questions about your work, how you came up with that idea, and how perhaps it can be developed further. So part of applying to art and design in the UK is something called a portfolio interview, where you sit down and we look through your work and you tell us about it. If it's a film, you tell us what the film was about. If it's a garment, you tell us about how you made it, how you came up with the ideas. This is an example of a piece of fine art. A lot of people think fine art is about beautiful paintings, but in the UK it's very much about self-expression, and that can take the form of a variety of media. This was an installation piece of work. Fine art can take the form of photography, painting, drawing, a whole range. So try to understand what the actual curriculum is. Just because fine art is something in one country doesn't necessarily mean it's the same thing in another. Students in the UK have studied art within their curriculum for many years before they come to university. So in order to give yourself the best start, particularly if you're looking at undergraduate study, if you haven't studied art and design within your curriculum, you really need to look at developing artistic skills, doing additional art classes. This is an example of a sketchbook. It was a sketchbook stroke mood board, and it was for a product design student who was actually designing a station where people would interact. And you can see how they were thinking, where they were developing the ideas. There's arrows to see how the product started, how he then looked at other products to see how he could develop it to come up with the final idea. And the final idea is down here in the bottom right-hand corner. So further education, if you are looking to do undergraduate qualification in particular, in the UK our further education is the foundation course. Foundation courses within art and design are specialist one-year courses, and they are called a diagnostic year, and they cover lots of different areas of art and design to give you an understanding of what's available, and then also which undergraduate course to go on to. So if in the UK you study an A-level art, which is very much about painting, you have something similar at international schools here called an IB. And so what the foundation course does is introduces you to different areas of art and design. So you'll study graphic design, fine art, fashion textiles, three-dimensional design, which will lead on to things like jewellery, product design, architecture, and also media, so photography, film, video, animation, etc. So the foundation course is in 3 stages. The first stage is very much about idea generation, creative mark making, so drawing in a way perhaps you might not have done before, do lots of group work,